Welcome to another one of our interviews with our amazing wounded women authors. Today we are joined by the lovely and inspiring Kelli Femrite, who is writing in our book Broken. So Kelli, I would love for you just to introduce yourself to everybody and let us know a little bit about you and how you help people and what you do.
Yes, of course. And thank you so much for inviting me to be here today. Thank you for the opportunity to be in this project. I'm just so excited about everything and how it's unfolding. So I just wanted to thank you for that. And so, yes, so a little bit about me and what I do. I consider myself an intuitive empowerment mentor for moms. So that's like a big title. So I'll explain a little bit about what that is. So I coach and mentor moms mostly on rediscovering their inner power, their intuition, and what is really calling to them to do, be, or have in their life. Because we all, after our dreams don't go away, they're still with us. And so what I do is I help those moms rediscover those soul level dreams, and really through a variety of different intuitive coaching methods. And I also do holy fire Reiki, hypnotherapy, and other energy release techniques. So a combination of all of those, and really digging deep to rediscover, like, what is it that you as a woman, as as a person, as a soul, are really being called to bring back forth into the world after it might have been lost for a few years, right?
Oh, I completely resonate. When I had my kids, it definitely felt like I entered a void for a long time there, where my identity was so deeply entwined in my children that I didn't have my own separate identity anymore. So I wish there had been somebody like you to help me about 15 years ago, because that would have been amazing. So
Yeah, definitely. And how it kind of interweaves with, like, how I found myself interested in this particular book topic. Like, when I do the work with moms, what comes up, and we'll probably get into this a little later, but what comes up time and time again is those generational stories, hurts, disappointments, limiting beliefs that come from childhood and that come from throughout, you carry with you through your whole entire life. And those stories and beliefs affect you and affect your energy body, and you hold it in your energy body, and it causes all types of self-doubt, limiting beliefs, just not taking action on your dreams and different things like that. So
and I think the thing that's really tricky with that is most of the time we don't actually recognize that we have these things because they're so deeply ingrained in our subconscious, or in our, like you said, in our generational lineage, that we don't recognize them until they're pointed out.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what was it then that made you feel called to contribute to this particular series and Broken? I feel like we've kind of touched on it, but I'd love to dive just a little bit deeper.
Yeah. So when I seen this particular book series posted, and I was following your page, and I kept seeing the posts and the description on it, it just kept calling out to me each time, and it would get louder and louder each time, until finally I said, okay, I think, I'm an intuitive mentor. I think my intuition's trying to tell me something about being a participant in this book. And so I'm in the process of writing my first, like, full-length nonfiction book. So I wasn't certain whether I wanted to contribute to a multi-author project, but like I said, this one kept calling out to me, I kept seeing your posts. And so finally I just reached out, because for me, it really kind of encapsulates my sort of story and background of going from sort of like someone who was doing everything that sort of like, a society expected of me, and coming up through that, and by no fault of parents or family or anything, right? It's just what we know. It's just how we know to be in the world. So, I went through my whole like early adult life, 20s, early 30s, working in jobs I didn't feel passionate about. I couldn't find the key to what would truly make me feel like on fire, purposeful, like light my soul on fire. And so then I made the change and walked away from that and walked into this. And this book really, it just represents, like, to me, that sort of story of breaking those chains of the, not only the ancestral chains, because that is how our families always did things, but breaking even bigger, like the societal chains and the patriarchal chains, even of what we were expected to do.
Yes. And I think with Broken, because you and I initially talked about whether you wanted to contribute to Burned or to Broken. And we kind of went and had a bit of back and forth because both titles resonated. But when we were talking about Broken, it was this idea of breaking these ancestral chains and what you were doing in your work. But also, I love what you were just saying about the bigger picture and breaking these societal chains, because this is, I think, where so many of us women are at. And whether it's just because society itself has changed, or whether it's in part because as we become women of a certain age, as we enter into our mid 30s, even then, as definitely I felt as I turned 40, it was like something new unlocked for me. And I know that some of our other contributors who've said that they're in their 50s also are feeling this call to shed all of these layers and to let all of these things go and finally release themselves to be free from the weight of the expectation that society says, you have to do this, you have to do that. If you don't do this, you're not going to be successful, or you're not going to be a good wife, or you're not going to be a good mother, or you need to have all of these things. And sometimes, like you said, those are not the things that our intuition is telling us are the path to fulfillment for us. So
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And touching a little bit on what you said about women in their 40s, 50s, even 60s, I can tell you, and it will be a part of my book chapter, but how my journey has really impacted other women in my life, including my own mom. And I'm really emotional just like saying that, because it's so incredible to see that happen, like sort of just your own personal healing journey, and others see what you're doing and then they become interested, and then all of a sudden it's like these other women in your life are wanting to do those things too, and they're wanting to heal, and they're wanting to let go and release of all of those things from the past, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny how that ripple effect has such a profound impact initially, like on those circles that we can see, like our immediate family, our immediate friends, our things like that. But then some of the other girls have also touched on how the ripple effect goes out even further, and we don't always see how those changes have impacted people, but that it is still creating that profound wave of change. So
Yes.
going into that just a little bit more, how is it that you help your chapter is going to help the reader?
Yeah, so my hope for my chapter is really to just um to let the reader know, and to have them like encapsulate that feeling that they can also take this journey for themselves, and it doesn't have to be something that they do alone. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, there's a community of other moms, of other women out there that are going through these journeys, and we're all coming together and we're all supporting one another, and we're coming into communities and groups like this to share our stories. So I think just sharing all those stories to women around the world, and how that is just going to have like such a ripple effect to those women. So for them really to take away that they have that power within them to create their own story moving forward.
Yes, I love that. That very much brought to mind for me my days when I was doing playgroup with my kids, and I made friends with a group of women who I'm still really good friends with to this day, even though our kids are turning, 18, or our eldest are turning 18 now. And it was that community and coming together of women and sharing our stories. Often the stories that we feel are filled with shame and vulnerability, the things that we have been taught by society that we need to hide or not talk about because they're taboo. Even when it's as simple as things about having trouble with, toilet training and things like that with your kids when they're tiny, and discovering that actually you're not alone.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, when women come together and when we share our stories, that sense of isolation disappears, because when we are truly sharing our stories, when we are sharing together, we are creating that awareness. We are highlighting the things that other people, that we had felt ashamed about, or that other people might still be struggling with, and we're letting them know that it's okay.
Absolutely. Yes. I 100% agree with that. And I think that's with this type of work, with mental health work, with just that awareness around all of those different areas that, like you just said, or sometimes feel shameful or feel like we want to hide it. But it's okay to share it. It's okay because there's others of us that have been through it and can help you and can help all the readers out there.
Absolutely. I love that. So for you then personally, what is it that you would like to get out of this experience, sharing your story in this book? What would be your ultimate takeaway?
Yeah, absolutely. So, my ultimate takeaway with sharing my chapter and with this experience is it's providing a big catharsis for me in a way where I can get my story out there and get that sort of get more awareness around it. So, sort of like what we were just talking about, bring more awareness to all these topics and bring them more into the front and center, bring them into the spotlight, reach more women around the world. That is really that is just my goal pretty much for my whole business, right? For my whole purpose of doing everything is I want more women around the world to become aware of these things so we can all help and heal collectively, and we can all create this better world for our kids. That's really the ultimate secondary goal, right?
I love it. And I feel like that goal is so beautiful and ties in so well with the subtitle of Broken, which is talking about, breaking these ancestral chains to create a brighter future for our families and for future generations. So
Yeah.
I love that this is also your personal goal, and this is one of the things that really lights you up, because it's one of the things that really lit Jenny and I up as well when we were, you know, crafting and creating the concept for Broken. So thank you so much for being one of those women who really sees and feels the same mission that we were feeling, because
Yeah.
it's and I can speak for Jenny on this as well, that this concept of creating change for the future generations and this idea of creating a world that is brighter and more open and filled with less shame and less
Yes.
constriction is really what we are all striving towards in our own different ways. So
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that. Yeah. I think that's probably why it kept calling out to me, right? Why my intuition was like, do this, do this. Yes, this is a good fit.
yeah, and I mean, I'd love to just dive into the fact that you're also writing your solo book at the moment, which is absolutely incredible. And how writing in a multi-author book doesn't necessarily mean you can't still write your solo book. In fact, sometimes it's a great way to dip your toes in the water and start building that author platform, right?
Mhm. Absolutely, yes. Yes, I feel like this is only going to add to that experience. So the solo book project has been a couple years in the works. I started writing it when I exited the corporate world. So it's been a slow go, slow process. Um, but a lot of what is in there, it has those similar themes to what I'm contributing to the multi-author book. So it has the generational themes, and it has about intuition and following your purpose and all of these things for moms. So it kind of just it felt natural to participate in this because it was a lot of the same similar themes, going into my nonfiction book.
Yeah. So, I mean, it kind of sounds like it's going to be a great way for people to get a taster of what is to come in your solo book. And if they really resonate with your chapter, to make sure that they're following you and connecting with you so that when your solo book comes out, they can dive even deeper into those same stories and those same things, but at a different level. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
and Jenny's just let us know that she is really excited, and she loves that you saw this as an opportunity to help launch your solo book, because I think that is one of the things that some people hesitate over. They think, oh, well, I'm already writing a solo book, so why would I want to take a little bit of what I'm putting in my book and just put it in a different book?
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
yeah, I don't think it
absolutely.
has to be one or the other, though. I think it's a great way for you to also, like, to refine the concepts that you then want to, go into the solo book with.
Definitely. Yeah, I definitely at first it seems kind of overwhelming to anyone else that's considering doing that, like doing a multi-book author project and a book at the same time. It seems a little overwhelming because it's a lot of writing, a lot of organizing. But yes, think of all of the other benefits that would come out of that experience. And more so, like the benefits of, like, I love that you guys have the once a week writing circle and we can get together and write together. And I'm definitely going to attend the next one. But just get together in a circle and write and have that accountability. Like, that's amazing. Like, a lot of us writers need that.
Yeah, the accountability part is definitely a big part of the journey, isn't it? Because when we have somebody who is saying, you know, set aside some time. Sometimes it's even just finding the time to focus on that one thing and allowing ourselves to take that time in amongst all of the other things we've got during the week, especially as moms, where there are lots of other things on our plates and we have to carve that time out to be able to say, this is what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
So I love that you resonate with our writer circles, because they have been so much fun. And just like, I just want to ask, what out of this whole journey, so you've touched on the writer circles, but what is it that you're most excited to experience as part of being in this container writing in this book?
I think for me, it goes back to my what's most exciting for me is that my childhood dream was to write a book and to be a published author. So that part of it really lives within me still. And, so having that come to life, and then the confidence that it's also building in me to keep writing my solo book and to have that book come to life. I think those two, because now it's sort of like, I'm participating in this multi book author project. And after this, it's natural. I'm going to publish my own book. So it's like not even a question anymore. Like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to realize that dream. I'm going to be a published author. And that was my childhood dream. So that's really, really exciting for me.
Oh, I love that. And I love that it was your childhood dream. This is something that keeps coming up with so many of our authors as well, is that they had dreams as little girls. They made books, they
Yeah.
wrote poems, they wrote some, whatever it was when they were younger. But then at some stage, joining the corporate world or having kids, or life getting very lifey, writing got put on the back burner. But again, like you said, a little bit about the intuitive work and women feeling called to go and do these things. Writing is very much one of those things that you just kind of can't get away from, is it?
Yeah, it's always there. Yeah. If you were passionate about writing as a kid, it always stays with you, even through all the jobs, all of the mismatched jobs that weren't my passion, through all of those years, right? And then what's really powerful is that when you go through major transformations in your life, that writing becomes such a tool for you to express yourself. And that's what it has really been for me. Even if I'm not publishing something in a moment, in a time, writing just personally for me to express myself, get my emotions out, get my story out on paper, that is just so powerful.
Oh, it is. It's such a powerful way for us to release everything, like our thoughts, our feelings, our hopes, and our dreams.
Yeah.
And it is whether you want to write a book or whether you're just journaling or doing any form of writing that resonates for you, it is something that can be really cathartic and really
Mm-hmm.
healing. So
Absolutely.
I really want to thank you for coming and being here with us today and taking the time. If people resonate with your story and what you do, how can they make contact with you or get in touch with you online?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a private Facebook group just for moms, where I go live a couple times a week. So that would be a great resource. It's called the Mom Intuitive Healing Circle. And so that is the private Facebook group. You can also follow my page on Facebook by the same name. And then on Instagram, I'm at kelli.femrite. And so I post content there weekly. And my website is kellifemrite.com.
Amazing. Well, if anybody who has been watching today would like to touch base with Kelli and find out a little bit more about how you can reconnect with your intuition and really dive deep into what it is that you're meant to be doing in this life, especially if you're struggling with being stuck in that mom void. And believe me, I completely understand. You're not alone. There are so many of us out there who've been in that place. Please do make sure that you touch base with Kelli and also check out her chapter When Broken is released later this summer. Thank you so much for being here today, Kelli. It has been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And thank you to everybody who has tuned in and shared some comments along the way. We very much appreciate you. Have an amazing day.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you everybody for watching, and thank you, Tracy.
You're welcome. Bye, everybody.